Hey, haven't made a video in a while. Sorry about that. Been busy. I wanted to comment on a disturbing trend I've been noticing. It's been going on for a while, but it's more extreme. And this is a trend of the left to basically condone whatever Russia does. Um, any reason to do anything, and the left finds a way to justify it. Um, which I just find incredibly disturbing. Um, obviously, you probably are aware that Russia is basically trying to annex the Crimea from the Ukraine. Um, and most people around the world view this as an act of aggression. Even the far left view it as an act of aggression, but they justify it by saying, well, the Ukrainian revolution is a Nazi revolution. Um, Ukraine is attempting to create, I guess, a Fourth Reich within Ukraine. And I've been arguing with people across the internet for a while now, saying, no, that's not true. Uh, and I find it incredibly disturbing. Everybody cites basically RT as their sources for their argumentation that Ukraine is basically a Nazi nation, and you really, I, you can't cite the news outlet of an aggressor nation as proof that the aggressor nation is peaceful. That'd be like citing during the Iraq War American media and saying, well, look, Fox News says this is blah blah blah, therefore it's justified. It doesn't work that way. You got to look at other media outlets. You just can't believe stuff. Um, Anyhow, so I've been arguing with various people all over the place, and I don't know. I find it super disturbing that there's just this massive support on the left for Russia, particularly when it comes to Ukraine and EU. The decision for Ukraine, was to join the EU or to join Russia, and the Ukrainians overthrew the government because they wanted to join the EU. Um, and the left's argument is, well, EU fascism, blah blah blah, and Russia is just defending itself from EU fascism. But this overlooks the fact that most EU countries are further to the left than Russia, way way further to the left. I mean, the social democracies that we always champion and talk about, Norway, Sweden, these countries, they're in Europe. Uh, uh, Germany, 77% unionization rate, net exporter of products, economy doing well, European country. Again, socialized healthcare, retirement, all sorts of pension funds, guaranteed vacation. All of these things are in Europe. So when people call like the EU a fascist, fascism trying to conquer Ukraine, I'm just like, well, I mean, if you're a Ukrainian and you're looking at guaranteed vacation, guaranteed health care, workers' rights, I mean, why would you not choose the EU? I don't understand this. I mean, like I said, a lot of this comes down to people just buying what's coming out of the Kremlin as truth, and I find it incredibly disturbing. So I'm leaving a whole bunch of links down below of media from all over the place. Note I'm not citing RT at all because their reporting is really, really biased and comical in some instances. I've had people argue with me saying that a third of the protesters were Nazis, not just ultra patriotic people or people fighting for an independent Ukraine, but flat out national socialist. Um, Effectively comparing them to the likes of the Golden Dawn. Um, and everything I see that's not coming from Russia, at least. Everything I see says the opposite of that. Um, even the most even the party that is basically in Ukraine, the party that is basically associated with Nazism, the Freedom Party, I can't say the Ukrainian word. I'm just using their translation, which is the Freedom Party. Um, it's like so, what is the Ukrainian Slobodka, whatever. Anyhow, even that party, they called for the international court to investigate the previous government's basically, well, criminal activity. Um, since when does a Nazi organization call for international law to be applied to their sovereign state? I mean, that alone is just weird. Golden Dawn wouldn't do that. Golden Dawn would overthrow Greece and install a fascist dictatorship. They're not going to say, "Oh, international court, come judge, our actions." No. So, I mean, it's really strange to me to hear people argue that some sort of national socialist movement is in place in the Ukraine when everything seems to be completely opposite to that. The only argument I've received is, well, Ukraine tried to and pass a law making Ukrainian the national language of Ukraine. It's Ukraine. Like, why wouldn't they try to pass a law to make Ukrainian the national language of Ukraine, particularly when Ukraine is in danger of being obliterated by a much more powerful nation, i.e., Russia? So why would they want? Why would they not want to protect their cultural identity, language, their way of life? I agree that you know that you should have a system where you can have multiple languages, because there's also regional tongues that somehow don't get in the media very often. There's not just Ukrainian and Russian. There's what are they? The Tartars or the Tartars? It's an ethnic group that lives in the Crimea that have their own language, which isn't Russian. As far as I can tell, they're all loyal to the Ukrainian government, which is telling, I guess. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just find it really bizarre. And then, like, there's all these. I mean, it's to the point where it's just retarded. Like, there's arguments that, oh, well, the Ukrainian revolution was funded by Israel, therefore it's a Zionist conspiracy of Jews to harm Russia, which is crazy, because simultaneously they're arguing that it's a national socialist movement led by Nazis to harm Russia. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, Jews are overthrowing the government, and then say they're Nazis, because the Nazis want to kill the Jews. So why would the Jews go in and say, oh, well, look at this Nazi organization. Dang, wouldn't it be great if the Nazis were in power? No, like, you just, like, oh, God, RT is crazy. So I'm leaving a bunch of links below on that. I just disagree with the current methodology of the left. I guess it's not really the left; it's just a bunch of people, but still, it's really irritating. So no, I don't believe the Ukrainian revolution is a Nazi-inspired revolution or some sort of Zionist conspiracy. I think it's a legitimate revolution against a corrupt kleptocrat who was running the country into the ground. Um, so anyhow, I'll leave a bunch of links to various articles, all talking about all the various things I talked about here. Um, in other news, I'm going to start reading a book here. Let's see if I can get it on screen. Yeah. Wow. That looks backwards. That's kind of weird. Anyhow, yeah, that's weird. Take your time reading it backwards, apparently. So yeah, that's a book I'm going to start reading here, which is, of course, talking about the socialist movement in the Northwest here, um, which is another video I should probably make comments on. the Northwest here has been kind of weird. Banks are pulling out of like our region. State of Idaho, the Bank of America pulled out altogether, and it's mostly because people are joining credit unions. The banks are just not having they just don't have their power anymore because people just don't like the banks. So everybody's joining credit union. Worker cooperatives are starting to grow in my region. Boise Co-op's expanding its area of territory. It's a cooperative. It's very small. They're opening another store. And Winco, which is a worker-owned corporation, is expanding into Walmart's territory because Walmart came here basically trying to take out another retail chain called Albertsons because Albertsons expanded into Texas. Walmart wasn't having that, so they just started popping up supercenters across the country all the way to Idaho in an effort to destroy Albertsons. And I guess Winco's like, well, okay, we'll come to you. So they're opening up stores in Texas, and Winco's cheaper by far than Walmart, so Walmart's going to have some issues with that. I might make a video some other time talking about the regional changes of what I call. It's not even political. It's more almost like anarcho-socialist, basically, because the bank's getting replaced by credit unions and worker businesses expanding and competing with aggressive capitalist industries. The worker industries themselves being capitalist too, but all the profits go to the workers. So depends on how you look at it. Anyhow, so yeah, that's my rant for today.